All right, so we're doing a deep dive onto the Wrath of the Lich King Paladin today. So, May, what's your experience with WoW? Where did you start playing WoW? Just for context.
I started playing WoW on Wrath of the Lich King actually in 2013 on Twinstar, which is now known as Apollo WoW. So I played Wrath of the Lich King as my first ever expansion. It was for about a year, and then they transferred to Cataclysm, the same server. So we continued on Cataclysm, my journey in WoW on the same server.
I imagine Twinstar wasn't what it is today back then, right? Like, it wasn't like what we know of Apollo today.
It was huge.
Yeah, like, it's sad what it has
It
become. It's really
had like,
sad.
I don't know, 20,000 people online. Yeah. It used to be much better and
Oh
bigger.
yeah, like
A
I
lot more
played on
passion
Chrono.
behind the team back then.
I played on Chronos too, and I always loved the server. Like, back then, there was a lot of people, and the community more or less was active. Like, if you had a problem, you would call a GM, and they would instantly help you. And now it's like such a shadow of its former self. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's all right, but you got like quite a history with Rado the Lich King. So, what is it that you like about Paladins?
Do you have a simple question for me? Like,
Well,
what do I like about Paladins?
open
Actually, I
ended.
just released a video today about one trick Paladins can do, and that's Bubble Heartstone. So, and you got like 4 specs to play, so you can choose from like all the different play styles.
Yeah, the bubble heart macro, like S-Fan back in the day, people don't remember this, but back in like 2016, before S-Fan was famous, he would stream himself like trying to gank. He would like sneak into people in like a molten core raid, one shot somebody because he stole all the gear from the raids because he was the guild master and he like got all the fucking loot. And he was like stacked. He would go to some horde guy in the middle of like Blackrock Mountain. He would one shot him, and when all the raid was turning on him, he would pop the macro and he would heart away. It was the best thing ever. He had like all his streams were that shit. He was like non-stop trolling. Uh, it was great. Like, I love bubble heart macros, but like to
Yeah, I've never actually used Bubble Heart back in the day.
you never
So this
used bubble
was
heart
like
until
my premiere ever using that. Yeah, I've never known that it's actually a thing. Like you can actually use Hearthstone within the bubble's duration. I didn't know that.
oh my god. I thought that was the only reason you rolled Paladin. That was the reason I rolled Paladin. That thing is the best. I know that's a nifty
The
little.
actual reason was I saw 5 mobs at a time and holy lighting himself and being able to survive that. But I played a warlock and I was barely able to kill one mob at a time. And so when I was level 26 on my first ever class was warlock, I switched to paladin and I never turned back.
Yeah. I actually had the opposite effect when I started playing in Rat. Like, I tried to level a Paladin and it was so slow and boring that I went Warlock. Like, it wasn't until much later that I got into the class, especially Prot. That was like the thing. But
Yeah.
how would you say
By
the
the way,
Paladin is.
how's your stream going? Do you have
I'm.
enough kilobytes per second? Because
It
I
doesn't.
don't. My stream is trending up.
It doesn't mark me as lagging yet. I think it's recording fine. Maybe there's like some lag going on.
Yeah, I'm like, it's crashed a couple times. I've already got like 7,000 dropped frames at this point.
Oh my. But you're recording it, right? Like, we can just drop it later.
Yeah, I think I'll have to turn it off.
I mean, worst case scenario, you can use my bot. It's gonna be on 720p, but it's whatever. We're gonna be fine.
I think I'll just turn off the stream. Maybe I'll be able to hear you and without so much delay at least, and I'll just record.
Oh yeah, whatever happens, I'll send you the bot later if you need it. We can just crop it out so you can upload it later. It's a shame, but it is what it is. We're gonna have to deal with it. So
yeah, I could actually upload the entire thing like a one big video and not do like live stream, but like a long video. So
oh yeah, I plan to like crop this and
doesn't
turn it into some sort of
really
guide.
matter.
I really
Yeah.
enjoy this kind of format. It makes for some really interesting background thing to listen to. You know what I mean?
Yeah, having two monitors especially and listening to something like this on the second monitor is the best thing.
That when Classic came out, dude, I was like such a junkie. I was like listening to like 3 guys while I was farming gold on my druid, killing like bears in Fellwood all day. And I was like, 8 ways that you can get Woolcloth in Stratholm. And I was like, farming gold all day while listening to that. All right. So you're set up now.
Yeah, I turned off the live stream because my internet can't even handle the Discord voice, the
What a
Discord
shame.
call
All right,
along with the live stream.
people are gonna be able to sit on the video, thankfully. All right, so let's move
Yeah.
on. I already lost track of what was I talking about. Let's see. Yeah. So how is the Paladin in the 3.3.5 meta, like in the private server meta in Wrath? Like, do you think it gets better? Is better early on, or does it get better as more raids come out? Like, how strong do you think it is? Especially PvP. I'm talking like on the sense of PvP right now.
I think overall it's one of the better picks, like from the very beginning all the way up until the Ice Crown Citadel and Ruby Sanctum content. It's like it doesn't really get as much of a benefit when it comes to the latest patch content as some other classes, like let's say Warrior with a Shadowmourne is complete killer. But for Retribution, it's not like Shadowmourne would make you or break you. You can still play like a Preg Paladin spec, which is a hybrid, and you're using a one-hander. So you don't really get as much out of it, I guess. There are a couple of trinkets that you would use, like Deathbringer's Will or Bubble of True Blood and stuff like that, which are very beneficial to Paladin too, but even early on, I think, especially since Holy Paladin and Warrior is not as strong early, it's where Retribution Paladin can shine even more in PvP.
So you say that like if you were to like really go hard at arenas, you would start in when Classic comes out, you would be like playing red and then you transition into like the hybrid spec. That's what you're trying to say?
You could, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference. I would say it depends probably mostly on what comp you're playing. Like if you're playing with, let's say, Hunter, and they tend to go on your Hunter and not target you, you might want to go red and have more offense rather than defense. And if they go on you a lot of the time, then you might switch into one-hander and play Preg spec because it's got a little bit more defense thanks to the one-hander and shield.
How does the Preg build work exactly? I am a total noob at PvP. Like people already know this. It doesn't take too much of a detective to figure that one out. But how does that spec work exactly, Preg?
It's pretty much the same as Retribution. You just lose Crusader Strike and Divine Storm. So you lose 2 real base spells that Retribution has in its toolkit. So you have much simpler rotation, but you also do a little bit more healing. You might get more procs on your Art of War. So your Flash of Lights are more valuable and you can do more support. You're a little bit more of a support role as a Preg Paladin.
So you would basically be like some sort of really tanky Shokadin. That's the way you're... Something like that?
Could be, yeah. Aside from losing the Crusader Strike and Divine Storm, you also gain Shield of Righteousness, So you have one extra spell instead of the two that does a little bit of damage, but overall you don't have as much, even those damaging spells at your disposal, so you can't do as much damage.
So, like, what is your role as a Preg Paladin? Like, making sure people stay alive and not CC? That's like your main thing?
Yeah, yeah. And also on Wrath of the Lich King Paladin, both Retribution and even this Preg spec can dispel not only themselves, but they can even dispel their partners in the arena or in a BG or anywhere. So you're cleansing a lot. So you actually have a lot to do in the arena when there's any type of dot, you're just cleansing your partners. So you have to have all the keybinds and macros, not just for you, but on arena partner 1 and 2 as well. So you're constantly cleansing and flash of lighting your partners.
Oh, so you have a keybind for cleansing each one of the members? You don't just target them, you gotta, like, press a different button for each one of them?
No, you do it so often that retargeting would take just too much time away, and you would
Wow.
also be losing on possible auto attacks and your Art of War procs then, so it's not really worth it.
That's big brain as hell, man. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Okay, so you do that, and this sounds kind of like a discipline priest, more or less, right? That's like you're trying to be like a utility super tanky spec when you're playing a Preg Paladin. That's that's
Yeah,
interesting.
and what you have to think about too is on Wrath of the Lich King, there are not many classes, even healers, that actually have the dispel. So you have discipline priests that can dispel almost anything, even bubbles and stuff like that. And then you have shamans that have purge, but let's say Resto Druid doesn't have any kind of dispel, so he can't even do as much dispelling as a retribution or prag paladin.
Hmm. That actually leads me to an interesting question. Like, what would be your ideal comp? What would be like the best synergies for a for a Preg Paladin or a Red Paladin even? Like, what would you want in a raid if you provide all the utility in a arena? I mean.
Um, the best comps are with Marksmanship Hunter, Enhancement Shaman, Unholy Decay, possibly even Restoration Shaman. Also, what you can play with Restoration Shaman is a Protection Paladin. So you can actually play Protection Paladin and do really well in 2v2 with a healer. So imagine you're this tanky Protection Paladin and you have a partner that can heal you. So that's pretty crazy. And that's a favorite combo in Wrath of Lich King, especially early on. So these are kind of like top four. Also, Discipline Priest and Rat is a really good comp.
Hmm.
So these are probably like top five, maybe even Rogues. I really like playing with Rogues because you have so much crowd control and you don't have to really care about positioning as much because you're both melee classes.
I
So
see.
you
Like,
have plenty of options because you have that support role, so you're able to heal your partner as well as deal damage.
we don't see any more like two healer comps like in TBC. Is that like not common in Rat?
Is that common in TBC? I've never played
Yeah,
TBC. You tell
like
me.
in TBC it's pretty much the meta because druids were so broken and stuff. Like almost all the good compositions are like two healers and a DPS. Like that's because prot PvP doesn't exist in TBC. I didn't know that. Like you can unironically play prot in arenas now. Like,
Yeah, you can play it and do pretty well.
do they do like
Protection Paladin is even
do
it's
they do
even a
like decent
favorite
damage?
choice when it comes to like rogue PvP.
How does that work? Like, what is your strength with a prot paladin? What do you do decent damage? How is that? What do you get exactly?
It's pretty similar to Prag Paladin because Prag Paladin wasn't really a thing back in the day, so people used to play Prot, but now they go more towards Prag Paladin since there is this choice to have a little more damage maybe compared to Prot. Because as Prag, you don't go as deep into the abilities, like you don't get the Avenger Shield, for instance. You only get like the first, I don't know, like 20 talents or so.
Hmm. So that's interesting. It was discovered after Rat itself. Like, This is a new discovery, the Preg spec.
I think it was actually a player on Warmane that discovered the spec.
Would you look at that? Like, that would be interesting to see, like, how private server players are gonna change the meta in Rat, because there's a lot of, like, I didn't PvP back in the day, but, you know, like, I always heard the complaints, you know, Paladins this, DKs that, like, DKs, I heard so much crap about DKs, people were always complaining about the DKs. And
Yeah.
I would like to see now, like, what's gonna be the real meta in Rat. Do you think Paladins are still gonna be, like, dominant in PvP?
Well, talking about DK, since you touched on that,
Yeah.
I don't really see as many DKs on Warmane's 335 on the last content patch on the last Raffle season. So much that there's so few DKs that you meet in the arena that I got rid of my Churn Evil Glyph that makes Churn Evil go instant instead of casting it. DKs or even Warlocks in the arena compared to the first patch, where I think there are much more DKs in the first patch.
Oh, so, like, I always thought they were gonna be like the the class that every kid plays. You know, I thought they were gonna be like super popular.
Yeah, I think it's a thing of the past. It's like with when Demon Hunters came out in Legion. You
Yeah.
had those couple of first weeks where you got every kid called himself like Demon Hunter or Illidan
Illidan
Hunter,
XXX69 no scope. You
Illidan
know,
Demon. Yeah,
I
you had
remember
all these people.
back in Pandaria, you would do like a level 20 battleground, and it would be like 10 monks in that battleground and 5 of all the other classes. It was like so stupid.
I
That,
can imagine.
but like, that's one thing, because I always, and maybe that's because this is probably actually because we're getting the 3.3.5 balance of the classes, right? Maybe it was stronger
Yeah.
before that in Rat, and they nerfed the DKs. Yeah, absolutely, they have nerfed the DKs in Rat during Rat. But like,
Yeah,
I always remember
DKs on the
people.
first patch used to have an ability that if you killed a DK, he would instantly resurrect as a ghoul and he would
Yeah,
attack you, even though he died before.
it was like really bad. I always remember that, and I think everybody pretty much remembers Rat as like the expansion where DKs were like everywhere. And you know, maybe we're not gonna see it this time. That'll be interesting.
We'll see how the character boost shakes up the things. Because if you get there might be. I think I read there's a thing that even though they are a hero class, you will no longer need a level 55 to create a DK. So if there are some new players jumping on Wrath of Lich King without previously been playing TBC Classic, they might just create a level 55 DK and be close to the end game.
You know, guys, if you subscribe to Matrix, you get a free boost that if you have a level 55 character, you get all the free level 55 DKs you want. Think about it. You get a free boost if you subscribe to Matrix. How about it? No, but yeah, that was like the main thing behind why they were so popular, right? Like, you could make one and be all 80 almost right away, right? Like, if you are gonna roll an alt, it's really hard to say that you're gonna roll any other alt when you just get 55 levels for free as a DK. You know, I think everybody had a DK alt because of that. But yeah, it will be very, very strange to not see DKs everywhere in Rat. So, having touched on every single spec, what is like your fun-wise? Like, what is your most favorite spec if you want to have fun? Like the best gameplay as a paladin?
Mm-hmm. I would probably still choose Retribution just for how fast-paced it is. I mean, I wouldn't go wholly just because of the fact that you're a healer, so everything takes long. You can't do any solo content pretty much because you always need a DPS at your side, so I would probably go Retribution. Although Preg spec is really a lot of fun too, and I remember back in the day there used to be a prot paladin that would always make trips to Orgrimmar. He was a human paladin and he would make trips to Orgrimmar to kill people over there, and he would be able to kill like 5 people at a time because he was so tanky.
He would like just one shot them, or like how would he do that without getting killed?
I have no idea. I've never been there when he was, so I can't tell. But he was having a lot of fun for sure.
I
Like that
wouldn't
was
wanna.
his favorite spot to hang out.
I wouldn't wanna be the guy that is in front of him when
Yeah.
that happens. So yeah, let's see. We touched on the comps. Do you raid at all? Like, do you do any raid content aside from PvPing?
I hope to when raids come out in Frostmourne, but I haven't done raids in quite a while in Wrath of the Lich King. I used to do on Cataclysm and Firelands especially, but the last time I've been in raid on Wrath of the Lich King was probably sometime in 2013.
Wow, that's been a long time. So you don't need any raiding gear to PvP in Wrath? Like, do you not benefit from any of it?
You certainly do, especially on the last season. Not so much during this next Rammus content, not so much in Deadly or Furious seasons. But on Wrathful, you definitely want to have those PV trinkets, like the Deathbringer as well. And even a weapon is really nice. Even if you kill the first boss in ICC and you get the Brintroll, the axe, that's a really good thing to have.
You mean the Bone Storm guy?
Yep.
Bone Storm! That's
Lord
the best boss in
Marrowgar.
the entire fucking game.
He gives incredible loot to both paladins and even DKs. Brintroll is one of the best weapons you can get as a DK.
Everybody loves the Bone Storm guy.
Yeah.
So, do you have to do like the heroic version to get like what you need, or like if you wanted to do the bare minimum PvE to just be a good PvPer, what would it take exactly?
Well, it's enough to do the normal content, but obviously, if you can do the heroic, that's even better. I don't know now with Frostmourne, if you're playing on Frostmourne, you will have these mythic dungeons. So you might be able to get your hands on top PvE gear even without actually having to set up a 20 or 10 man group to go into a raid. These mythic dungeons should give you the same loot that you get in a raid.
That would be very convenient for PvPers. Like, I know a lot of them because, you know, back in the day, like, I think it was a lot more common to see people that just, you know, PvP and raided. Like, a lot of people did both. But nowadays, like in retail especially, like, I see that people do only PvP or only PvE, you know, like, if they could do something like that for Classic, that would be very nice to capture all the retail players, I think. Like, to get those people into Rat Classic too.
Yeah, that's one of the things when somebody's saying why Warmane will not die. I think one of the things is their tournament realm, Blackrock. You don't have to do any PvE to get the PvE items. So I think that will be still a place for many PvPers to go to and to just have fun in the arena.
I ironically believe that grinding gear for PvP makes PvP worse, and my example is MOBAs, right? Like MOBAs are very popular, and one of the reasons is that you don't have to grind anything. Like it's 100% skill and playing broken shit, but mostly skill that goes into like MOBAs. Like I don't know, like there's a lot of WoW PvPers that moved on to Dota or League of Legends, and I think that's a big part of it, right? Like having everybody on an even playing field, in my opinion, feels very good, and that's why I really enjoy the idea of a tournament realm, like you're saying. So, what are the strengths and weaknesses of a paladin, in your view?
A weakness is definitely like in every other expansion, his mobility. Even though he's got the cleanse to get the snares off of him and freedom, which not only removes snares and slows from you, but also removes stun effects, but only if you're a retribution spec, not if you're like protection paladin, let's say. So that's a big help. But if you're facing like a Frost Mage in 1v1 as a Retribution Paladin, there's pretty much nothing you can do. He's
Oh,
just gonna smoke you. You
the
can't
bane
even
of every
move.
melee. Like, is there a single melee that likes the Frost the Mage matchup? I don't know if it gets any better in Rat, but you know, like in TBC and in Vanilla, Frost Mages are like the meme hell. Like, it's like the devil. You know, if you play a warrior, you play a
Yeah.
rogue, you play anything, and you're against a Frost Mage, you wanna quit instantly. They are so annoying.
Yeah, they actually did a really good job trying to balance out the classes later on, like Cataclysm and later. You're
Hmm.
actually able to fight a mage as a Retribution Paladin, but on Wrath of the Lich King it's pretty much impossible.
Yeah, not only hard, it is, in my opinion, very unfun. Because, you know, you gotta. It's not fun to not be able to hit somebody while they are like off in the distance being like pew 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 pew. You feel like crap, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's so frustrating.
Yeah,
Oh,
you can remind me when you're gonna be editing the footage. You can remind me I should have a footage of me going 1v1 against the Frost Mage as Retribution Paladin. I can send it to you.
with sad violin music.
I hope there's
Everyone.
not sound of what I was saying when I was fighting him. I hope that's not included.
All around me are familiar faces. And you're getting hit by the fucking frostbolt. Worn out places. And you get locked in the Nova and you cannot move. Yeah,
Yeah.
like I feel you. I never played a paladin in PvP, but I played plenty of warrior PvP in vanilla, and I tell you, it's no fun. It's no fun. Even with charge and intercept, it's no fun, man. Oh
Yeah.
no. Alright, I forgot to actually make a window for it. I'm gonna move on to a different question until I get this done. I wanna check out the talent builds that you would take, but okay, let's move on for a minute. What does the paladin counter? We talked about the counter matchup of like Frost Mage and how it fucks you, but what is the opposite? What is the red paladin and the Preg paladin very good against, in your opinion?
To add to the previous question, another thing a paladin
Hmm.
is missing is an interrupt. You have no means of interrupting your enemy at all. So they can just freely cast if you don't have a partner that has interrupt ready. But what you counter as a paladin, for instance, rogues, you're pretty good at countering rogues, especially since you have the Hand of Freedom, which removes all stun effects on you. You also have Hand of Protection, which you can use on your partners to remove things like blind or cheap shot or kidney shot from a rogue. So that helps a lot, even your partners if you're in an arena situation. And you're an incredible supporter. You're really balanced all around class, so you're able to do any solo content or fight pretty much anyone except the mages because you have everything. You have the dispels, you have the heals, so you're really a really good choice, like an all around class. And you're of course pretty good fighting against DKs because you're a paladin. You're basically the one that should take care of all the undead with your turn evils, holy rats. So you have all
Hmm.
the tool set to get rid of DKs in any situation, pretty much.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's why I
that's
think
about it.
it sounds really sad when you say that you're not gonna match, you're not gonna face a lot of DKs. Like I was expecting you to be all out on that part, like oh DKs are everywhere controlling the world, but no, that's a little
Yeah,
that's a little
I think there
disappointing.
might be more DKs in the earlier, like the Deadly and the Furious season. Hopefully, there's going to be more DKs than later on. So I think it will be still worthy to run the Turn Evil Glyph against those in the early seasons.
Hmm. Okay, so we touched on the counters a little bit. What are your plans for Red Classic? That would be an interesting one to drop out there. What do you plan to do when Classic comes out? Are you gonna play it?
Yeah, I'm gonna make a Paladin. Obviously.
Oh, hype. No, but I forgot where I was going with this. Are you gonna raid? Are you gonna try to PvP? Like, what is your goals with the Classic launch exactly? Like, are you just gonna chill in there?
I would definitely like to experience everything, all of it, as much as I can. PV, PvP, exploring the world and doing everything that the game has to offer. But let's be realistic. Who knows how much time I'll have to actually play? And with things like Random Dungeon Finder not being in the game, that will slow down the entire process again. So I don't know how much time left there will be for me to actually enjoy the game as much as I would like to, but I would definitely want to spend a lot of time playing it for sure.
Yeah, it's a shame really. Like I remember when Classic Vanilla came out, the amount of people, because I was in a pretty big guild back then. It was the guild of a YouTuber. Then it was like pretty hype, and there was like all the people in there were like, I called work. I took all my vacation weeks for the year today, and they were like they were out of work for like 2 weeks when Classic came out. They all took time off work for Classic. It was like, do you think any other game could be that way? That's just nutty to think about.
What are your plans for Wrath of the Lich King Classic? Are you gonna play it?
Oh, you know how the content in this channel goes. Like I say that one thing is gonna be awesome, then I play it, and then I get bored, and I move on. So I'm gonna check it out, and I might play it for a year, I might play it for a week. You never know with Medina. You never know.
Have you played TBC Classic?
No, actually, like just before TVC Classic came out, I was like really hard into Atlantis TVC, and I was like, I got my TVC fix. I don't need any more TVC in my life.
Uh-huh.
I got a little
So
tired of it.
you don't have a character of level 70 or anything ready.
No,
You
I
would
got a
have to.
60 druid and a 60 mage, and that's it.
Okay. That's not bad.
Yeah, like
So you don't have to boost.
what? Sorry,
So you don't have to use the boost pay for it. You can just continue with the 60s.
55 DK day one. Fuck that, man. Can you imagine the hell that is gonna be the starter zone for Dead Knights at day one? It's gonna be like there's gonna be more
Yeah.
people than mobs.
Well, you could choose some server that not many people play on.
I guess, like, if they make the dungeon finder when they add it, if they make it like cross realm, that might be a good play if you don't have a lot of time to play. Farm
Yeah.
gold on a low population server, and then you go to the cross realm dungeon finder. That'll be interesting to see.
Yeah, I'm curious how the faction imbalance and the servers, some servers dying, some servers popping off. I'm curious how that's gonna be on Classic when Rat comes out.
Yeah, if Blizzard cared at all, they would have made an incentive to go Alliance a long time ago. But I think it's only gonna get worse as the expansions go on, because that has already been the case, by the way, in retail WoW. Like all the top guilds are a horde now. Like there's like almost no raiding scene on the Alliance at all anymore. It sounds silly, but the horde ratios were slightly better like 15 years ago, and because of that all the hardcore guilds went to the horde, and over the years like all the people kept going to the horde because all the best guilds were there. It's like a cycle, you know what I mean? It's like a feedback loop. And if Blizzard
Yeah.
doesn't do anything, which they probably won't, I think it's gonna get a lot worse in my opinion. I wish it wasn't the case. I like the Alliance. The Alliance is my life. But we might have to go horde if that's the case. Would you wanna
We'll
play a
see.
male Blood Elf?
Well, if I'm playing a Paladin, it's actually a pretty smart choice since you're getting Arcane Torrent and you're getting your Interrupt right there.
Damn, you think about everything, but you're a Blood Elf, man. Like, aren't you afraid that people are gonna make fun of you for playing a Blood Elf?
No, my first ever character was Blood Elf Warlock.
My first character was a Draenei male shaman.
Oh.
And the name was XX Santi XX. That was my name. Okay, I did everything. Yeah, one guy in the chat already called me a man kisser.
I used to always say X in the name is cool.
I mean, it was 2007. XX was like the thing to put on your name. XX no scope. Skull of
My
Death,
name,
Annihilator Ninja 69.
my name originally was Matrix with double X.
That actually sounds pretty cool. That's actually a
Yeah.
lot less cringe. Alright, I got a different segment. I don't know if you're seeing the stream right now, but I popped in a window. It's gonna cover my beautiful face. Doesn't matter. I got a talent calculator here. What would your build be if you wanted to go red paladin in PvP? What talents would you take?
Let me open it up on my window too.
Yeah, this is gonna be like a coordination effort. I should have thought this earlier. Wasn't too bright.
Ooh. Where can you check those talents so that you can actually see how they're called? You can see the show tooltip.
I don't know, like I can mouse over them. Let me send you the link. Give me a minute.
Hold on, I got talent calculator here. Okay, I got it.
Alright,
Okay, do we go one by one?
Yeah, like what would you take if you were like a red paladin on arenas?
So the first row you have deflection, which increases your parry chance. Not really so good. You go 5 out of 5 benediction, which reduces the mana cost of all instant cast spells. That means even your flash of lights if they're instant. And as red paladin, you might have mana issues, so you definitely want to go into benediction.
I love how you say might. Like you might. It
Well,
sucks so much. Like in
you can
PvE.
prevent that a little bit by using Judgment of Wisdom or Seal of Wisdom if you're that desperate. So
I don't know, like in PvE I played prot, and even as prot, I'm like intentionally taking a shit ton of damage with Spiritual Atonement, and I still all the time. It's so bad, Holmes. Alright, so you take 5
how
deflection and 5 benediction, right?
5 benediction, deflection, ignore that. It's
All
not
right.
worth it.
We ignore it.
I wanted to ask you, how long is the cooldown on Divine Plea if you're a protection paladin?
I think it's 12 seconds or 10 seconds. I don't remember. Let me Google it. Give me a minute.
Why the cooldown on Divine
because
Plea
there's a
should be
talent,
longer.
Improved Divine Plea.
Yeah.
I think it ends at being 10 seconds because it's 12 by default, right? Let's see. Give me a minute. No, it's 1 minute. It's 1 minute. And you get like 12 seconds less, was it, with the talent? I don't even remember anymore. Let's see. It was around here somewhere. Where's the Divine Plea talent?
I don't know. My point was you probably get it more than with Retribution, so that should help you with the mana issues.
Oh
a little
yeah,
bit.
like you're popping Divine Plea constantly, and even then you're like not getting enough damage to like sustain your full rotation. Like if you wanna go all out AoE, like you gotta be taking an insane amount of damage. Like we're talking like 2 healers healing you at the same time to like not be And yeah, like most good tanks are gonna be like watching their mana. I am bad. So I just want to go all out all the time and I can't. But back in TVC, you walked into a bunch of mobs and you got destroyed and you got all your mana back instantly. Like right away. It wasn't even a talent. You got it for free. You got Spiritual Attunement for free. Like if you were red or holy, you still had it.
Okay.
It was really interesting. You would see like holy paladins walking into fire to get mana. It was like a really shitty thing to do, but if you wanted to cheese the meters, people would do that.
Yeah, that's what warriors do to get extra rage. They also do this.
Yeah. I mean, in Barilla it was even worse. Like, warriors would go, I remember in Naxxramas in particular, you know how there's like a lot of rats in Naxxramas the Creators? Like if you were not a warrior and you killed a rat, they would like flame you so hard because they were like, you got rid of my 5 rage, you fucking piece of shit, I'm gonna get. Like the tryhard warriors were like getting full rage before every fight, just killing rats. It was
Okay, let's go.
really
Let's
cheesy.
go to the second row.
Oh yeah.
Improve judgments, reduce the cooldown of judgment. That's obvious, good choice because your judgment is your priority.
Bread and butter.
Heart of the Crusader. Huh?
No, I mean it's the bread and butter, yeah.
Yeah.
I
Heart of the
imagine
Crusader. 3 out of 3. What do you imagine?
you would take Seal of Command, right?
In PvE.
Ah, so it's not good in PvP.
No, that was one of the things when I was live streaming the other day. One person told me like, "Hey, I really like your Holy Paladin playstyle, but please take Seal of Command as retribution." I was like, "No, I'm going PvP spec. I'm not picking Seal of Command."
Is it because oh, I get it now. It's like 0.36 main weapon damage now. It used to be like way higher in like TBC and vanilla. So yeah, it's like the only value you get from Seal of Command now is the AoE, I see, right? Like that's why you don't use it in PvP?
Yes, yeah. Seal of Command is good for AoE because it strikes additional targets, but in PvP you want to run either Seal of Righteousness or Seal of Vengeance, one of those if you're doing damage.
Yeah, so you know, in PvP you cannot say, hey enemies, can you get a little closer together so I can hit you all at once? Like, can you stand still for a minute? Come on, man. That'll be a little hard. Alright, so you got your... What do we take then? Pursuit of Justice, maybe.
Yeah, hold on. Improved Judgments, Heart of the Crusader also. Improved Blessing of Might. You might take this if you know that you're gonna be putting Blessing of Might on you and others. You may not, depending on the comp you're playing. But also, those blessings are getting dispelled in PvP, so you will not have 100% uptime on them. So you might consider it as a choice, but I wouldn't recommend it. Then you go Vindication. Vindication is shit, don't take it. Conviction is great, take that. Seal of Command, no. Pursuit of Justice, take that because it reduces the disarm duration and increases the movement speed, which in PvP, if you can't get on your target, is pretty crucial.
I'd say even
So
PvE, like moving fast is like so good. Like,
yeah,
movement speed, in my opinion, is like the best stat in the game. It just feels that way, you know what I'm saying? Like, when you're a melee,
yeah, I agree.
being able to swing like... Because people don't see the numbers on this, especially in PvE, right? I imagine in PvP it's even more important, but... You know, in PvE, when you get a dodge mechanic, that's maybe one hit of your weapon or maybe 2 hits of your weapon that you're losing because you gotta dodge stuff, you know, you cannot be hitting the boss all the time. And, you know, like people say you gotta invest all your... You gotta sacrifice movement speed for DPS. That's not really the case most of the time. You get more DPS if you have movement speed, right?
Yeah, true.
Alright, so we got Pursuit of Justice, we got... we got Conviction. What do we get next?
You ignore eye for an eye. You get Sanctity of Battle. Because crit is the most important stat.
Interesting question here. Crusade. Does more damage to humanoids. Does it count for PvP? Does it give you extra damage in PvP?
Crusade increase the all damage caused and all damage against. I think so. If it's a humanoid, it should.
Yeah, right. Like players count as humanoids, right? I always had that doubt. Okay, so we get Sanctity of Battle. What do we get next?
So we get the Crusade full. Then we get Sanctified Retribution and Two-Handed Weapon Specialization, both of them.
Like full points?
Yep.
Okay. Alright, 200 weapon specialization, 6% more damage. Basically, this is all flat damage increases that we're going in this row.
Uh-huh.
That's very interesting.
Then you get full vengeance.
Gives you 1% bonus to physical and holy damage you deal for 30 seconds after a critical strike. Do you crit a lot as a red paladin? Like, what is the uptime of vengeance? Sorry.
Well, you have full uptime because it lasts 30 seconds and stacks up to 3 times. You get a crit. If you're hitting that enemy, you get a crit every couple seconds.
Oh yeah, so this thing is like huge value then. Like you always have it when you start hitting people.
Yeah, unless you switch too much. But yeah, it's definitely a good choice.
Even if you have like bad gear, is it still like a good uptime?
Yeah, even with bad gear, it's still pretty good.
Yeah, like so far this looks pretty nutty, you know, like 6% more damage here, 3% more damage there, like this must really add up really fast. Alright, so we get... what do we get then? Repentance, I imagine?
Yeah, but before that you get Divine Purpose in the same row as Vengeance.
Reduces your chance to be hit by spells and ranged attacks by 2% and gives your Hand of Freedom a 50% chance to remove any stun. Oh, this is... Oh, you remove stuns with Hand of Freedom with this spec. Yeah, that sounds really nutty.
Yeah, so you get two here, so you get 100% chance to remove any stun effect on the target of your Hand of Freedom.
Ah, so this is why people go Preg instead of full protection then, to get this talent?
Yeah, that's one of the big reasons.
That sounds really... I didn't get it until now. This sounds very smart. Yeah, like, you know, what good is to be really tanky if you don't have the utility to be worth hitting, right? Like... Yeah, this must be very fucking annoying, right? Like, the guy is dispelling all your shit and you cannot kill him. That must be very frustrating to deal with.
And still, even in Preg spec, you still have the Repentance as well. So you get even an extra CC.
Yeah, so... I see it now. That must be very annoying. Very, very annoying. Okay, I tried to put my webcam on the side of that Repentance. Alright, so you get Repentance.
In the Repentance, you can actually see it's usable against demons, dragonkin, giants, humanoids. So again, humanoids here mentioned.
Okay,
so should be
Crusade then
usable in PvP.
Okay, so Crusade then
Same
gives you
Crusade.
6% damage instead of 3%. This is huge. This is huge. Like, I get it now. Like, it's not a flat 3%, it's 6 because you get an extra 3 against humanoids. Yeah, that's really nutty. Back in Vanilla Crusade was only demons and undead, so it was like pretty useless. Wow, so... Okay, Repentance
then you got the Art of War.
Increases damage of Judgment, Crusader Strike, and Divine Storm. When you critically hit, the cast time of your... Oh, do you also get this on Preg when you're doing that build? Or is
Which one?
The Art of War?
Yeah, you do.
Okay, so not only you're like an utility monster, you can also drop like really quick heals with this.
Yeah, that's one of the things that you will be doing most often is the Art of War procs and your Flash of Lights. That's like every other spell pretty much you do Flash of Lights.
I gotta tell you, man, I am listening to how the Preg build works and I'm already getting annoyed. Like, I am imagining fighting against this guy. This must be like the most anti-fun thing to play against in the world. We're gonna see that spec later. That sounds very interesting. Okay,
well, you're playing a prot paladin yourself, you can respec to Preg and go into PvP.
I am gonna try it. Like, I'm playing on War main, you know that? I gotta grind all my gear and stuff, but I am gonna try it. This sounds really annoying. I like being annoying. My chat already knows that. Alright. So then we get the Art of War. What is the next thing you get?
Judgments of the Wise in the same row. This helps you with the mana issues.
100% chance with a judgment to grant an effect that gives 1% of your maximum mana every 5 seconds. So you get 25% of your base mana. That doesn't sound like a lot instantly, and then you get 3% of your mana over 15 seconds, right? Like, does it do a big difference?
It does, and not just you, but the entire party gets that bonus as well.
Oh yeah, I see. So like you're enabling your healers. You're like, okay.
Yeah, so if you're having mana issues, definitely, like if you only have mana for one spell, then cast the Judgment, because that will actually replenish some of your mana too.
Do you use Judgment of Wisdom as a red paladin, or what do you use exactly?
Depending on the situation, you might use all three of them. If you have if you're running out of mana, or you know that you will struggle with your mana, then you use Judgment of Wisdom. But ideally, you would use Judgment of Light for the HP, because usually there's some damage incoming on you. And of course, if somebody's about to run away from you, like rogues especially, then you use Judgment of Justice.
So Judgment of Justice, just like in TBC, right? It makes it impossible for people to get a boosting speed, right?
Yeah. Exactly.
Oh, I see. Yeah, so that seems pretty important. Okay, you gotta be big brain when you play red. I don't like that. I don't like thinking too much. Damn.
Yeah.
All right.
But
so
if you don't do well, you can just bubble and Hearthstone out.
can you Hearthstone out to the arena? That would be funny for a video. Like, you're be on Discord with a bunch of random teammates and do that, and you say, guys, check out this macro, and you leave the arena and everybody rages at you. Matrix, you piece of shit! This was my I needed this for my Oh guys, no, there's three Hordir here. This is scary. I'm out. Whee! That will be the play. All right. So what do we get then? Fanaticism.
Yeah, full on fanaticism, crit for judgments.
Sounds like a no-brainer. Then what do you get? Sanctified Rat. Your or
crit check, Hammer of Wrath, reduce cooldown on wings.
Yeah, this sounds like a no-brainer. Like, how often do you get decent value from reducing the cooldown on Hammer of Wrath? Because it's like the execute, right? Like, how often do you use it in an arena? Do you spam it?
Yeah, pretty much like in PvE. It's a really strong execute.
I imagine in arenas,
so anytime
it must be even more important to have executes in arena.
Yeah, especially since it's one of your only ranged abilities against those mages or hunters or whoever's running away from you.
Those sleazebags. Alright, so that sounds like a no-brainer. Those pesky mages, with their dresses, those little gnomes, they are like, we, and you cannot touch them. They are all the way there, and they are like throwing you frostbolts, and you cannot do anything about it. God damn it. Like all melees can feel with you. It's not just a paladin problem, I assure you. It's not a paladin problem.
Yeah.
Alright, so...
Then you got Swift Retribution, which is good for PvE, but it's not good for PvP. Because it increases your melee attack speed, which in PvP you oftentimes don't get to be in the melee range as much as you would like to. So we don't take that in PvP.
Because of those Crusader Strike frost mages. That's why you don't get to be on the melee range.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh my god. It all comes full circle with those pesky mages. Okay, so you don't take Swift Retribution. What do you take? Crusader Strike, I imagine.
Yeah, obviously.
Great cooldown. And
You have some buttons to press with Crusader Strike. Although Crusader Strike is not as important as on the later expansions, here it's like really just a filler.
Okay, so this is interesting. Crusader Strike in Rat does not refresh your judgments anymore?
No.
Oh, because back in TBC and Vanilla, no, not Vanilla, it was a TBC spell. Back in TBC, if you had like a judgment of wisdom on the target, and you hit Crusader Strike, all the judgments got refreshed instantly.
Wow.
Like, it was very important because, you had your Holy Paladins doing like a
Okay.
judgment, and you didn't want the Holy Paladins spending time refreshing the judgment, so having a red Paladin to refresh them was very convenient. I didn't know that it wasn't the case in Rat anymore. That must be a little annoying.
Yeah, on Wrath of the Lich King, Crusader Strike is really at the bottom of your priority list when it comes to rotation.
What a shame, what a shame. Okay, so what do we get then? Shield of Light?
Yeah. That makes it so that you don't have to get any spell power items to have powerful heals. You just go all into attack power and strength, and you get the benefit of spell power, essentially.
Yeah, that sounds very... Do you still get like a decent amount of damage with spell power, or is it only for like heals now?
Well, I don't think there's an item in game that you would use as a Retribution Paladin that would have spell power and would be actually beneficial. There are some trinkets. Let me actually Google what it does, but I don't think there's anything that would benefit you.
No, but I mean, it doesn't significantly increase your damage then.
No.
That's another
not worth
interesting change. In TBC, you got like, it still wasn't a priority stat, but it was like significant. Wow, this is like a very different class from like TBC. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't comprehend like all these changes.
It's changed quite a bit.
Honestly, like overall, it sounds like a
And then
lot
you got
simpler.
Righteous Vengeance.
All right, what do you take
I
then?
don't know. Can't tell. Righteous Vengeance, the penultimate talent in the Retribution
When your
tree.
Judgment, Crusader Strike, and Divine Storm deals a critical strike, your target will take 10%. Oh my god! You crazy boy! You got like how many percentage of damage increases on this build already? You're like stacking percentage over percentage.
Yeah.
They were
And
no.
it's 100% uptime too.
I imagine like 30 seconds for every critical strike. That must be forever.
Yep.
Wow. This is ridiculous. I imagine they don't multiply off each other. I imagine they are just additively put together, but still, that's really crazy. Okay, and we take Divine Storm, obviously, right? The
Yep.
flagship talent. An instant weapon attack that causes 110% of your damage up to 4 enemies within 8 yards. Okay, so an AoE Crusader Strike that does more damage, basically, right? And then you heal 25% of the damage caused to your party members. Oh my god, this is so annoying. Wow. You got like so many support, even as red, even as pure red, you got so many supportive tools in this build.
Red is more a supporter than just damage dealer.
Yeah. You must make a lot of friends with this build. Like if I was like an enhancement shaman or a rogue, I would love to have a paladin in my team, right?
Yeah. If that paladin knows how to support, then definitely.
Yeah.
It's the MVP.
And you know what? Like nobody wants to be the support in games. I always found out that people really, really like you when you play one of those classes. Like, because it feels so good. Like, Hand of Freedom alone is like so freaking good. Being able to being a warrior, and next time that annoying mage tries to Nova you get Hand of Freedom and you go nuke him. That's the pleasure of life, seeing that little gnome fall into pieces in front of you. Oh my god, I wait for the day.
In real life, though, usually you see those Retribution Paladins using only Hand of Freedoms on themselves, so...
There's this thing in TVC that I don't know how it is in Rat actually, but in TVC, if you're a druid and you innervate yourself, you're like a terrible trash player. And every fucking boomkin, like people are like, let's take a boomkin because we can get some innervates for the team that's gonna make everything easier. And you go to the raid, and the boomkin, instead of like helping the the raid, the boomkin is like innervating himself to do more damage and fucking up the healers. Yeah, I feel you. I feel that's a big problem. Okay, so what is your secondary talent row with this build?
Yeah, here we go. Now you have like two primary choices. You can either go in the Holy Tree for Seals of the Pure for increased damage on your seals.
Mm-hmm.
And then you can go Unyielding Faith, which reduces the duration of fear and disorient. Depending on what comp you play. For instance, if you play with a Disc Priest or Shadow Priest who can dispel you, this talent doesn't really make as much sense. But if you play with something else, then I guess you could take that, and then you go Divine Intellect.
Mm-hmm. So you don't face a
Possibly.
lot of warlocks in Rat anymore, right?
Um, you do, but not too many.
Yeah, so it's like not that significant to be like feed immune like it was back in Vanilla or TVC, and then, right? Like,
Seems like not, even though Warlocks are still really powerful on Wrath of the Lich King. You still
so
have Destruction and Affliction both viable.
okay, so this might be significant then. Okay, so then you take Unyielding Fate, and then what do you take?
No, okay, that's it. If you would go PvE, you go Divine Intellect and Aura Mastery, but not for PvP. And
Uh-huh.
then
So
another choice, if you go...
but no,
Yeah,
I still have 13 points.
yeah, that's good. Then you go into Protection Tree and you
Uh-huh.
take Divine Strength.
Okay, Divine Strength, more
Obvious choice for
damage.
Strength. Yeah. More damage and healing as well, because we got the Sheet of Light talent.
Oh, it scales off each other.
Yeah.
Wow, this sounds like really scaling build. Like, everything multiplies off each other with this thing. It's so satisfying. Okay, so what do you think then? Like dodge rating maybe?
No, you go Guardian's Favor to reduce the cooldown
Oh,
of Hand of
yeah,
Protection and increase Hand of Freedom's duration.
yeah. That makes a lot more
And
sense.
then, similarly to Unyielding Faith and Holy Tree, you have Stoicism, which reduces stuns on you, and also makes you less likely to be dispelled by the enemy. So sometimes if the enemy wants to dispel something on you, like Hand of Freedom, let's say, you have a chance to resist it
Okay.
with this talent.
So this sounds really important for PvP then, right? We should take
Yeah.
that.
And then depending on how many talent points you have left, you
I
will go
got 3
Divine
more points.
Sacrifice. Yeah, you can go either Divine Sacrifice, which you not only have the Hand of Sacrifice, but you also have this one, which works pretty much the same way, also 2-minute cooldown. So if you're fighting, let's say, Rogue, and you don't want to get sapped, or you don't want to get blinded, you use this one of those, either Divine Sacrifice or Hand of Sacrifice, to break this CC off of you.
Oh, that sounds big brain as hell. I am never gonna do this right. I am never in my career of PvP gonna use this spell properly then, but that sounds very smart.
The easiest way you can use this is when you get to just about the middle of the arena, then you pop this, either Divine Sacrifice or Hand of Sacrifice, mount up, and go to the opponent and start attacking him, because that's the time when they would want to sap you.
That is really big brain plays. That You
Then
gotta be
you
like
have
countering them all the time with the like. Do you think like the paladin is like a very reactive class to play, like a class that relies uh, on predicting the enemy more than other classes?
uh, yeah, yeah, you could say that, especially with how much support spells you have. Also, dispelling the enemy, you have to see your party arena frames all the time, whether they need something dispelled, whether they're feared, or they have some damage over time effect on them that you need to take care of. So, yeah.
Okay, so we got 2 more points. Where do we spend it for the lols?
Now you can either go back into the first row and add it to divinity to increase your healing done and healing received,
Uh-huh.
or you can go improved righteous fury, which when you have righteous fury on you, it reduces damage taken.
Where is that one?
That's the third row in the middle.
Oh. Yeah, you have no threat problems, so it makes sense to get like a nice reduction of damage, I imagine. You got no threat in
Yeah.
PvP. I see. Alright, I'm gonna
And
get this
then
build on the description, by the way. Like, I'm gonna link it to you too, so we keep it. I'm gonna send you this link. Sorry, what were you saying?
yeah. Another option, if you didn't take the talents in the holy tree, you could go further in the protection tree and take divine guardian, which empowers the divine sacrifice so that it also reduces damage taken. And you could also take improved hammer of justice, which reduces the cooldown on your most important crowd control ability.
So you take Divine Guardian, and what more? You take Hammer of Justice
Yep.
in that alternative build. Oh, I see, I see. This is very cool. Alright, and what would you take for the glyphs?
Let me see the options here.
Alright, Major Glyph. Alright, you cannot see it. Well, fool. You got your screen open, right?
Uh-huh. So for the major glyphs, you could go. Is this a major glyph? It doesn't even show here. Anyway, you would go Hammer of Justice to increase the range on Hammer of Justice.
Okay. Sounds very, very convenient.
Then, depending on whether you're having mana issues, you might go Crusader Strike to reduce the mana cost, or Cleansing if you're cleansing a lot, and that costs you a lot of mana.
I see. What would you personally take? Or is it like always situational? You don't have a personal preference on this one?
Yeah, I would change them depending on what opponents I'm facing. For instance, if you're facing a mage who spell steals your replenishment, which gives you back mana, then you might have
Oh,
serious issues. So against him, and you're also cleansing a lot because he's got a lot of slow. So you might go cleansing against mage, for instance.
those pesky mages ruining all our builds everywhere. God damn it. Even here.
Yeah.
Okay, you take cleansing. That sounds simple. Cleansing, or you might take Crusader Strike for the mana. And then what do you take?
You might also take salvation depending on the situation. That makes it so you got an extra defensive cooldown. So normally you wouldn't ever use Hand of Salvation, but if you glyph it, then you can use it to reduce damage taken on you by 20%, which is a nice defensive cooldown.
Yeah, ironically, this would be an excellent tanking spell, but if you pop this, you lose all your threats. So
Yeah,
that's really sad. That's really sad.
that's a good point.
Uh, you take 20% less damage when you drop Hand of Salvation on yourself. That sounds pretty powerful.
Yeah. And then another option to boost your damage is Seal of Righteousness, if you're using Seal of Righteousness, because there sometimes you use Seal of Righteousness Righteousness sometimes use Seal of Vengeance to deal damage. And that depends on what your goal is. If you want to burst down an enemy, then you use Seal of Righteousness because it does a lot of damage straight up. But if you're staying on enemy for a longer period of time so that you have the option to stack the debuff on the enemy, then you use the Seal of Vengeance. So depending on which one you use the Glyph.
Oh, so like for example, if you were fighting, let's say, a class that's very easy to stick to, like I wouldn't know, a warrior maybe, like you would go with Seal of Vengeance for that kind of matchup.
If he is your primary target and you're not switching often to, like, you might be want to switching to the holy paladin that he's playing with or so, then yes, if you're staying on that one target and not switching. But also if you're playing, for instance, with a hunter, Seal of Vengeance gives dot on the target, and if there's a dot, your hunter can't CC him because it would break his freezing trap. So if you're playing with a hunter and you're using Seal of Vengeance, you cannot hit the enemy that he wants to CC.
So it sounds like you're like, well, from what you're saying, that you use Seal of Righteousness a lot more often than Seal of Vengeance, like overall, right? Because it's like a more common situation to not be able to stick to people that much, right?
Yeah, could be. I don't know. I would say it's probably 50-50 depending on what your goal is. Like if you know that you can burst Paladin in a matter of seconds and make him bubble, then you go Seal of Righteousness because you wouldn't have the opportunity to stack Vengeance.
I see. Okay, so the one thing that I'm getting from this, like overall, is that there's like so much customization you can do to like cheese a matchup to the extreme. The skill cap for this sounds very cool. Like there's so much things you can go for. Okay, so we take all the major glyphs. What do we take for the minors?
Yeah, one more I should mention is Turn Evil. Depending on whether you're facing a lot of Warlocks and DKs, you might take Turn Evil instead.
It pushes away demons and undead, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so you're dealing with...
It's usable against all Warlock pets, against all DK's pets, and even on DK with Lichborn activated.
Oh, because they count as undead? Oh, wait. I know demonology warlocks are not very viable, but if a warlock turns into a demon, can you use this against him too?
That's a really good question. I was just reading a guide today, and they said you can. I have never seen that myself, but they say you can.
Can you imagine
That
being
could be funny.
Can you imagine being the one idiot warlock that plays the wrong spec and you go to the arena and you're like, I'm gonna pop all my cooldowns, and Matrix is like, turn evil, bitch, and the poor warlock loses all the cooldowns. Oh my god. Oh. Okay, so then what do we get for the minor glyphs?
For the minor, you don't really have two good choices. You can go Sense Undead for the increased damage against the undead, which doesn't really make much of a difference at all, but that's pretty much the best you can get.
Yeah, minor glyphs are usually very inconsequential. Alright, so you might
and
get
then you have the blessings. If you're using Blessing of Might, you use the Glyph of Blessing of Might. If Blessing of Kings, you use that one, which reduces the mana cost.
And do you take... No, Lay on Hands is not allowed in arenas, right? So it doesn't really... Like, you cannot
might use Lay on Hand if you're in like Battleground or World PvP. That can make sense.
But yeah, like if you're doing arenas, Lay on Hands, you cannot use it anyway, so... That sucks. Okay, and I imagine like the third glyph is like worthless, right? You don't get a lot of options here.
Yeah, pretty much.
Alright. Well, we got the build figured out. Do you got time to go over the Preg build really quick?
Yeah, we could do that quickly.
Yeah, like we don't have to explain every talent now, so let's try that. Oh, wait. I think I fucked up the build. Oh, I forgot to cut it. I'm gonna just check out the bot. Doesn't matter. Okay, so what would you take first as Preg? You would take... So you're going first on protection, right?
You can go first wherever you want to, pretty much. I would probably go first to Retribution.
Okay, so you would be taking Deflection, right? Or Benediction?
You're taking pretty much all the same talents as you took as Retribution.
Okay, so that would mean you're taking Benediction, then you'll be taking Improved Judgment, right? And you'll be taking... Let's see, Heart of the Crusader.
Uh-huh.
Okay, you'll be taking Conviction, I imagine, and Pursuit of Justice too. Then
Yep.
Sanctity of Battle, I imagine.
Oh, we haven't actually mentioned before Vindication. You might use Vindication because it places a debuff on the target. So if the target wants to dispel themselves, they have to dispel also this debuff. So it's an extra global cooldown for them if they want to dispel something important like talent point, and that could be helpful, just like dispel protection. If you have the talent point free to use it here. Otherwise, you don't have to.
So if you got like a talent point left over, you might take 1 point in it just for the debuff. Like you're not going for the actual effect of the debuff, just to have the debuff. That's what you're trying to...
Yeah.
That sounds really...
I mean, the effect of the debuff is also pretty nice, but it's not game breaking.
It would be like another thing to be annoying. I like being annoying in PvP.
Yeah.
That's the best strategy, you know. Break their mental fortitude, and then you conquer. Alright, so do you take Crusade on this build again, I imagine?
Yep, you take also Pursuit of Justice.
Yep.
Depending on which build you want to run. If you don't take Pursuit of Justice, then you need enchant on your weapons that will give you the disarm duration reduction.
So then you get a Sanctified Retribution?
Yep.
Alright. We go over there and we gotta spend like, let's see, 3 more talents to get to the next row. What do we take? Two-handed weapon? Specialization?
No, because you're not using it.
Oh, right, you're using a
one-hand.
What an idiot. You're right.
Yeah.
So what would you
Sanctity of Battle Crusade.
I got Sanctity of Battle and Crusade. Maybe I forgot to mark 1 talent here.
Okay, then you can get something extra. You can get either Eye for an Eye or another Vindication.
Oh, I'm gonna get 1 point in Vindication then? Oh, never mind. That's the thing that I got wrong. I forgot to take 1 point in Vindication. I forgot to click it. Okay. Now we're on the next row. We're at level 34 and we're on the next row.
Yeah. You take both.
You take Vengeance and you take Divine Purpose again.
Yep.
I imagine you take Repentance and the Art of War. Like we went over like how useful that will be on a Preg build, right?
Yeah, also Judgments of the Wise.
And then are we done with the protection side of this, or do we keep going to Fanaticism and Sanctified Wrath?
We take 2 out of 3 in Fanaticism and 2 in Sanctified Wrath.
I see.
And then you also take Sheet of Light.
All right.
Because you're healing a lot.
All right, yeah, that makes sense. You get spell power from your strength. You're gonna be like a utility class. You're gonna be doing a lot of spells. Makes sense.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, that would get rid of all the prot talents, right? That would be like the end of prot for us, right? Now we go into the red. Now we go into prot, right?
Yep.
Okay, we're going to prot. What do we take in prot?
You take 1 in healing and 5 in strength.
There we go. I imagine you take Guardian's Favor.
Yep. And you also take Stoicism.
Alright. Then you take Divine Sacrifice, I imagine.
Yep. And Righteous Fury too.
Perfect. And Hammer of Justice.
Yeah, all 3 talents in this row.
Including the Devotion Aura? I mean, Devotion Aura? Okay. And Reckoning, I imagine, would be interesting in here. Like, does it do a lot of damage?
Yeah, you can take 3 in Reckoning. And 3 in one-handers.
And now we're done. Alright, this sounds like a really cheesy... Yeah. I like the idea of this build. Like, I haven't tested it, obviously, but... This sounds like something that would be really, really interesting to play. Like, really annoying to play against. Alright, I'm gonna send you the link to this. Okay, guys, we're gonna have both builds on the description. On whatever video or whatever channel you're watching this, whenever that is. So, I just sent you the build, by the way, mate. And you can just research that. This sounds like really, really cool. Like, you know, the role of a paladin before used to be like a one-shot or die kind of build. And what you're explaining here, it sounds like a lot more intricate gameplay. Like, you got so many interesting tools in Rat.
Yeah, and we haven't even mentioned so many things. So if you want to master any class, you'll have to research a lot.
Yeah, I always say, like, you know, every time I do a guide, I put like a link to like a bunch of written guides, because there's no way you can go over all the things in one video. It's like so deep.
Yeah.
Okay, let's move on for a minute. By the way, guys, if you got questions in the chat, you might want to drop them now. I don't know if you got anything you want to ask, but this is a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Just think about it. Alright, so what do you think is going to be different in Wotlk Classic from Warmain?
Not much. I think it's going to be pretty similar, honestly. Like, we have all the PvP figured out pretty much on Warmain. So, I'm not expecting big changes.
The Preg build, that sounds really nutty that somebody in Warmain invented it, you know?
So.
Oh. Okay, so... If I wanted to set an arena team, this is a more meta question. If I wanted to set up an arena team, if I wanted to get like people to do it, how would you go about finding the people to play with? Like, how can you know if somebody is like a good player that's gonna try hard and that's gonna like do teamwork and stuff? How do you find your teammates?
That's one of the reasons why I'm a big proponent of 1v1 arena in World of Warcraft. Because if you could fight player in 1v1 and see how he plays, then you could hit him up and tell him like, hey, we can do some games together. I like your playstyle. But otherwise, back in the day when there used to be also a feature that you would get your cooldowns reset with every duel, I would duel people and see how well they do in that duel in 1v1 at least. It's not the same as 2v2, and you have to learn how to play every single comp you play, but it's at least something. At least you can get to see something.
So you were like a Orgrimmar gate Andy, right? You were dueling people outside Orgrimmar all day? That was your...
Yeah, I was playing Alliance, so I was in the Elven Forest all day.
Oh, yeah. I don't know, this is something that kind of died in private servers. which is a shame. But back in the day, the outside of cities was always full of people. It was so beautiful. Like, people were just fucking around then, you know? Now everybody's like, oh, I gotta get my gold, I gotta get my dailies. Like, every minute of your life in WoW is like trying to get some number. But back in the day, people were just chilling and doing nothing all day. It was really fun.
Yeah. I think it comes with the private servers. If there's an older private server like Warmane's Ice Crown, you got a lot of those people that you can get to duel with, and even a lot of people ganking low level players because they're bored. So they go to Hellfire, and there you get your daily dose of world PvP.
Back in Light's Hope, it was like after Nostalgius died, this was a vanilla server that had like 12,000 people online at any time. It was huge. There was this one hunter, I'm not kidding you. I think he was from Serbia, I got to talk to him one day. There was this guy called Lakeshire Boss, and he would spend, not kidding me, he would spend 8 hours a day ganking people in Lakeshire. 8 hours a day doing nothing else than ganking people in Lakeshire all day. That was it was like so funny.
Well, you see, he made a name for himself. You will never forget.
Dude, like, because nowadays it's not the same, but back when like private servers were huge, subreddits were popping. Like, you would see people complaining about that guy in every post. He was like infamous, you know. Him and Alex. Everybody complained about Alex all day. It was like, fuck you, Alex, stop hogging all the devils, or you piece of shit. And there was like Lakeshire Boss, like, look at this asshole, he's ganking me, I'm level 12 and I cannot play the game. And eventually WoW servers had to crack down on it, and they do not allow people to complain about people in their subreddit anymore, which maybe made a lot of sense. But back then it was like the Wild West. It was so fun. You would like go look at all the people crying in Reddit. It was awesome.
Yeah,
I miss that. I really miss that.
I do too.
So what do you think is a mistake, a common mistake that a lot of new paladins make when they are PvPing? Something that you see all the time.
Not supporting their teammates. Like, if you're a BG, you rarely ever see a paladin throwing flash of lights on his BG partners, on anyone there. Even though they could help a lot. Like, you're a red paladin fighting alongside Warlock in a battleground against like 3 other people, and the Warlock's dying, you could Hand of Protection him and win the fight. But no paladin does that, so they usually just go straight for the damage.
Oh, I know that feeling. You know, you wanna go boom boom. You wanna go drop some bombs on the noobs. It is like the paladin syndrome. Yeah, I think the paladins attract that kind of people that just wanna do big damage and one shot people. That is like
What they did on Cataclysm. On Cataclysm, if you go Red Paladin, you have a talent where if you Word of Glory heal somebody else, you get a damage buff, like 12% extra damage you do for like 12 seconds or something. So there's an incentive to do that.
Look how fucked is the paladin player base, man. That they have to bribe the paladins into doing their job. Yeah, no, but then ironically, like, you know, like, I get that the paladin is a very complex class with a high skill ceiling, but the average paladin player is like, you know, because I am that guy too, you know, I wanna boom boom, I don't wanna think about stuff. That's the appeal. It is very rare to see people like you that actually think about stuff and break down the plays and whatnot. You know what I'm saying? You're like the exception to the rule of the good old paladin boys. I don't know how it is in Rat, actually. I am kind of talking out of my ass. Like, when I'm speaking of this, I am speaking through the lens of, like, vanilla and TVC paladins. I don't know if they are the same people in Rat, you know, like... There's a lot
I think it's the same on every single expansion.
There's a lot of little inner class communities that think different. You know, it's really funny. And...
Yeah.
Okay, so if you wanted to do arenas, how would you... gear up a character fast? How would you like Red Classic comes out, what is your plan to get all your gear as fast as possible?
For me, it's not just about gearing fast, it's also about having fun. And if I'm not having fun, like doing reputation or something, then I wouldn't do it, even though it's a good way to gear up and get some good weapon or something. I would just straight up do battlegrounds, arenas once they're open. I don't know how long it takes to actually open the arena. On Warmane, they were open on the first day probably.
I
So
think
there
in
wasn't
Classic
like an
TVC it was a month after launch, but I don't
yeah,
remember. I think it was
could
a
be.
month. We're gonna have to
Yeah.
see.
So the only
But
thing you will be able to do is probably BG's Winter Grasp, of course. That helps a lot, especially the weekly quests there. You should do those and make sure that you don't overcap your honor points. So that you over every time you spend them when you have the cap, that's like 75,000 honor points you can have with you at one time. And then I think there should be some daily or weekly quests somewhere in Northrend. I don't remember, I've never done them.
so you're trying to like mismatch gear from all different sources when you're like trying to min-max it and do it as fast as possible. But I can understand, like if you're a PvP player, you don't want to be doing all that crap. You just want a PvP, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And that's why, like, I agree with you. I think classic TVC Rat should have arenas open on day one. Honestly, like, I am not an arena player and I am not a hardcore PvPer, but let people play what they want to play. Why do you have to force people to play content that they don't want to play? Just let them do the arenas, man. I don't know. Like, what is even an argument for like not opening arenas?
I don't know, maybe if there were less players at the start, maybe there would be some win trading possible.
That actually that's a good point. I didn't think of that. All right, this is the last question. This is a very meta question. I am asking for a friend, okay? I am asking for a friend. This one. This is for a friend. This is not for me. This is for a friend. How do you get good at PvP?
Because you like ladies. Yeah. You study, you practice, and you get better over time. You just have to do it.
Like, how do you study PvP then? Like, you go to watch videos of people that are very good and break that down? How was your approach? Like, when you started playing, how did you learn?
Yeah, there's a lot of resources, especially for Wrath of the Lich King, since there's Warmane.
Oh,
You
yeah.
have Warmane's forums full of guides that you can go through. You even have plenty of videos, and now that the classic will be coming out, there's even more and more resources that you can where you can learn. And where you can practice is ideally Warmane's Blackrock, because literally all it takes is a couple seconds to get the preset on your character, where you even get all the sockets and talents, and you're ready to go.
Not sponsored, by the way, but yeah, that sounds really cool. If you wanna like really try hard at Rat Classic, like having a realm where you get all the gear instantly, that sounds awesome.
It's pretty similar on WoW Circle. They also have an instant PvP realm, but Warmane has this special feature that you can just click on the spec that you want to play, and it instantly gives you the gear, socketed, and enchanted.
Oh man.
That's not a thing anywhere else. So it makes it super simple.
Honestly, it must feel like crap, you know, that you can play your best gear whenever you want, but when you go to Frostmourne, you're like no gear again. It is
Yeah,
it is a little sad. All right,
it
mate.
is a
That's
part of the experience.
yeah. I mean, it's part of the grind. This game is a lot more than one thing. All right, man. That's
Yeah.
pretty much every question I had for you. Thank you so much for bringing me in, man. This has been a
Thanks for
pretty
having me.
enlightening. Get it? Enlightening. This has been a pretty enlightening experience for me. And I am pretty sure everybody is going to be able to appreciate. A link to Matrix channel is going to be in the description. We're going to leave a link to all the builds that we just went through on this stream. I don't know, Matrix, you want to say something? You want to mention something that I forgot?
No, thank you for having me, and I hope this is just one of many.
Oh
collabs
yeah,
that
you're gonna teach me how to play, okay? You're gonna turn me from a noob into a decent player. That's gonna take you like 10 years, but you're gonna make it, okay?
especially now that we're finally playing on the same server, we gotta take this opportunity and make the best out of it.
I already talked with Matrix Chat, and I was like, we gotta make a video where I just try to do arenas, and you see me play, and I'm gonna make you rage. It's gonna be awesome. You're gonna be like, fucking idiot! You're hitting into evasion. You're hitting into evasion, and I'll be like, I'm trying. I think that would be the best day of my life. That would be like such a funny thing to do. We're gonna see that.
Yeah, we gotta do that.
All right, man. Thanks for the opportunity, man. Behave. Have a beautiful
Thank you.
day.